Welcome to Grace Pilled, a podcast about the spiritual process and the mysterious forces shaping your life. My name is Hanna, and since 2015, I have been a practitioner in a classical Shakta tantric tradition, which informs literally every aspect of my life, including the things that I like to talk about. I work with people to recognize the deeply spiritual patterns that are shaping their life so that they can start moving with those patterns instead of against them. This show is that whole conversation out loud again and again and again. You can work with me through my website, hannawilliams.com, or join my Patreon for deeper teachings and ongoing Q&A sessions, also a community Discord server. I also have a 100% free human design resource on my website if you want to start your human design experiment. But for now, let's get into the episode. In this episode of Grace Pilled, Monika, my co-teacher and colleague, is back, and we are going to explore inner conflicts and what it really means to avoid conflict, and why the hardest conflicts are actually the ones that are happening inside of ourselves. Ugh. It's so real. And as you listen, you will notice that we're going to talk about the relationship between desire and self-betrayal, why so many of us ignore our own inner truth in order to preserve relationships. I've been there. And how people-pleasing, compromise, intimacy, and personal power are all things that beautifully intertwine, or painfully, you could say. Along the way, we're going to unpack what makes somebody a good compromise partner. Me and Monika love coming up with terms. Compromise partner is a good one. Why every meaningful relationship will require friction, and how learning to fight very well might be one of the most important life skills you can develop. This conversation is full of personal stories from our own lives, plenty of laughs, a few uncomfortable admissions, and an ongoing invitation to become more honest with ourselves first, and then with the people that we love second. If this conversation resonates with you, Monika and I are teaching Conflict School, which begins July 28th. It's a 6-week training designed to help you to develop the transformative art of fighting well, learning how to navigate conflict without avoidance, self-betrayal, or unnecessary harm towards yourself and other people. We combine practical communication skills with nervous system regulation, self-awareness, and real, actionable, studied, and proven relational practices. I genuinely believe that this is some of the highest leverage work a person can do in their entire life. Learning how to fight better will change your entire life. It changes your relationships, your work, your family, and your relationship to yourself. This is literally the best money you can spend. I'm not just saying that. You can find all of the details for Conflict School on my website. I'll also put it in the show notes. And without further ado, let's get into the conversation. Hi, Monika. Welcome back to Grace Pilled. You
Thank
are
you.
a frequent flyer.
I know.
How many miles
I'm
do you
honored.
have?
This is 5th?
Something
Fourth?
like that.
Something like that.
You're a frequent flyer.
I dig it. It's fun to do.
Love having you here. So we're going to talk about inner conflicts and conflict avoidance. I was joking in our text messages earlier that this is going to be like an conflict avoidance showcase episode. But the way that I wanted to start the conversation is just by offering to you and to the listeners just like a thing to chew on, like an idea to chew on. And it comes from the human design system, which is the solar plexus, which is the center of emotions and 5-dimensional view of reality. It's such a complex center. The not self theme of the solar plexus, when it's undefined or even possibly unconsciously defined, is avoiding truth and confrontation. So if you have an undefined solar plexus or even an unconsciously defined solar plexus, you might struggle with truth and confrontation. You avoid it. And I've always been very intrigued by this because you and I both have an open solar plexus, and we're both very obsessed with conflict and confrontation. And that just feels very on time because usually what's open becomes the thing that we're vexed by and very interested in and spend a lot of time studying and trying to understand. But the thing that people don't necessarily get out the gate with the not self theme of the solar plexus is that avoiding truth and confrontation isn't just external. The open solar plexus will also avoid its own truth and will avoid it confronting itself. And so there's these things that maybe we know are true, like we have a desire, or there's something in a relationship that we're in that we just know we cannot stand, but we keep avoiding it. Or there's a desire that we're having, yeah, the word desire is coming out. Like there's a desire that we have that we just will refuse to look at because maybe if we really looked at it, there would be a conflict in our life, perhaps. And so this whole idea of avoiding inner truth and confrontation feels like a good way to kind of open up this discussion about conflict avoidance. But when I talk about the inner truth avoidance, what comes up for you, Monika?
Well, you started to talk about desire, and I wondered, is denial of desire a thing for people with open solar plexus?
Oh, there's so much more to the whole
Okay.
body graph, but it could be because there's a lot of sexual gates in the solar plexus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I'm just
for
curious, like,
30 and 30 and 55 and 6 and even maybe 37 have almost kind of like a sexual quality to them.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that's what my curiosity was like, what's the juice in denying desire? And I think if you have like the channel of struggle, you do get juice from struggling, from learning how to challenge, from not like diving into every whim that you have. But I think there can be a real cost. So what I think about in it is what's the cost, and how we all just kind of develop habits or internal narratives or behaviors that really prevent our ultimate ideal, which is intimacy or success or anything that really you have to expose yourself and be vulnerable in order to achieve. You don't achieve success or intimacy living under a rock. And I think a lot of people perceive isolation, less relationships, less exposure, less failure, which also means less attempt, as safety. And we were talking about this a little bit before we hit record, and just the skill of acknowledging your internal landscape and how you feel about things and what that means for you and where that came from. Or just like noticing when you are manipulating people or have a desire, like apparently desire is now in my vocabulary now that it's been said, but have a desire to like achieve an ideal outcome. And really powerful people have the power to like augment a situation. And that's when we start to talk about like exploitation and power over other people. And I think people are doing that very subtly, even with their own minds, like overpowering their nature, judging themselves, shaming themselves. There's like a lot of like negative power impact instead of power sharing.
Huh. Are you kind of
Tell me what's coming
speaking,
up for you.
well, are you kind of speaking to like the powers that be and like very powerful people even on a collective level who are acting out their own desires and then we get impacted by that and then the average person doesn't even let themselves experience their desires whereas these powerful people are actually acting out their desires for better or for worse?
100%. It just so happens that people in power of the so-called United States have the most basic, pure
Yes.
human psychology happening,
Yes.
disguised as what the fuck ever. That it's just, you just stumble right into it. I've been calling that man a kid in a sandbox throwing a temper tantrum for however long, more than 10 years now.
Right,
Because
so
it
you're
really is. It's
saying
like
the most powerful people are acting out their most base level desires.
absolute lizard brain,
Oh,
which is like recognition, just absolute hungry, addicted to superiority and recognition, being in charge, being in power, being the best. I'm the best. Sorry.
Okay, this is interesting because now we're having a discussion about personal power.
Huh. Well, I think there's personal power in like acknowledging what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's coming around.
Yeah. So if you're denying, you're also creating really inauthentic relationships and circumstances for yourself if you're denying what you really want.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
say that as someone who's like sacrificed my personhood at the altar of belonging so many fucking times, or at the altar of like the guise of being loved and chosen.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. So you're saying that you've subsumed your own personal power to get something?
Certainly. I think this conversation is becoming more commonplace these days, but like people pleasing being manipulation, you know? I think it's actually a skill to develop connections that are not manipulative, where you're not actually trying to control someone into doing what you want them to do or say or be. And in some ways, our like addiction to the self-help realm is our own way of controlling ourselves into what we should do or say or be instead of accepting our true nature, which is oftentimes your true nature. I'm immediately thinking of like the three things I like least about myself, you know? So it's all personal power. But what do you think?
Well, I think that when you're talking about like true nature, I think when you're saying that, using the example of people who are people pleasers who are just doing that to control people around them because they have some sort of thing going on. Um, Something to look at there is like what's actually motivating our behavior, like two layers down, three, five layers down, right? Like what's
100%.
the thing that's actually motivating our behavior? And often it's perhaps a base level desire or a
Mhm.
wound. Those two are like best friends. The desire and the wound. I mean, talk about kink. Anyway, that's a separate
Mhm.
discussion.
That's our album name, Desire in the Wound.
What's the desire in the wound? Oh my God, that's so funny. But it's like when you think about people are so often afraid of going to this five levels down, like what's actually motivating our behavior, because they'll reveal, talk about avoiding truth and confrontation. You'll reveal like the things that you actually want from your
Mhm.
life that may be culturally taboo, or your family is not going to agree with it, let alone like sexual and gender identity and all that kind of stuff. But like it could even just be like, you know what, I really desire to have a life like Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, where we have two separate houses with a bridge in between. Oh,
Mhm.
I deeply desire that. But I'm in a relationship with a guy from the Midwest who has really hardcore traditional family values. How did I end up here? And
Mhm.
so when you start to think about that level, people don't want to get down into the deep desire because the deep
Mhm.
desire will literally interrupt whatever life you have built based off of conditioning.
Correct.
Yikes. It's hard work.
So I'm curious about that because that's a wonderful example, especially I love being in and being surrounded by and working with people who are interested in operating outside of traditional relationship roles. And I say that because one of the things that I'm wrestling with in my own personal world is my deep, deep, deep desire. It makes me want to like vomit because I have a contradiction to it, to be married. And it's not like I want it to be married because I love like the government being in my fucking business. But there's like a unification and like a choosing and a ritual and like the pilgrimage everyone makes to the place that you do the thing that I find like really romantic. And I don't know if I've watched too many like fucking rom-coms, but that exists in me. And it's a real contradiction to this other part of me that came from like I am the spawn of people who were never married, called each other husband and wife. I feel like it was a beautiful example of you can do whatever the fuck you want with relationships. And so I just wonder about the compromises we make. And is it when you talk about like I am down for a Frida Diego bridge between houses. And I think the secret sauce of that is being partnered to someone who's willing to consider your truth. So I'm willing to consider a traditional household. I'm willing to consider the Frida Diego bridge. And what's the compromise? Do you think that's like the secret sauce, or is there something else?
Well, yeah, I think it's a good question. Who are you picking to compromise with? Are you picking a
Hmm.
good compromise partner? Because they're,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, like when you partner up with somebody, like you're picking a trajectory, which
Hmm.
includes all of that person's beliefs, conditioning, family ideas, relationship to money, relationship to children, relationship to personal hygiene and taking out the trash. Like you literally are just picking a model of like a car
Hmm.
with like a certain amount of miles on it. And a
Hmm.
lot of people get into the car and they're like, why isn't this a 2026 Hyundai Kona when it's a 2012 Toyota Camry?
Hmm.
And you got to make sure you're picking the right car. This is the most unhinged analogy ever.
No, I mean, I think there's something to be said for like
What you
accepting the
picked.
reality. I'm pausing because my father used to say something like, people who, don't live together, like aren't intimate before marriage. This is my father's perspective also. For any listener, it's literally my point is that you can do whatever suits you. But he used to say you got to drive the car before you buy it.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to freaking like entangle all of your assets to someone, you might want to like test drive how things are going to go and how they're going to feel. And I think what's so interesting as you say this, like a good compromise partner is so wonderful because there are people out there who are going to make you feel like compromising yourself is the way to stay in partnership with them. And I think so many of us are so desperate to be with and belong that we will make that sacrifice
Mhm.
and ignore
Is there a difference
our
between a
inner
sacrifice
truth.
and a compromise?
Great question. I mean, a sacrifice sounds much more like something is being slaughtered, and a compromise sounds much more like a consensual acceptance.
Yeah. Right, because I think every relationship is a compromise.
Completely.
100% of relationships are compromises, even friendships, because you're just dealing with somebody with a different
Family.
meaning-making system, different family, different way of seeing reality. So you
I
have to pick a good
compromise
one.
with my dog. I'm just saying, like, I compromise with my garden. There's no relationship that lacks compromise. So, correct.
So
And
there's
actually,
no such
this is
thing as,
really good.
go ahead, please go, please go, please go.
Oh, I was just going to say this is really good because I think a lot of times we're just like, if only you were more like me, everything would work out better. But I don't want to date myself. I have a diverse group of friends for a reason.
And also
What were you going to say?
so many people meet themselves and they hate them. I hate that person.
Yeah.
So just admit
Yeah.
that you like somebody who's different from you. The thing that usually we find so attractive about somebody in the beginning is the thing that we end up hating them about.
Oh my gosh.
Like very frequently. And usually that thing is very different from us and we're intrigued by it. We're like,
Yes.
"Oh, wow, like you really put your art before everything." And then it's like a Saturday night and you're like, "Can we hang out?" And he's like, "No, I'm in the studio." But you loved
Yeah.
that he was an artist when you met him. So like just admit
Yes.
that you're in like a kinky relationship with like not getting anything that you actually want.
Yeah, I mean, if no one's ever heard of the book Existential Kink, that's an interesting one to
Yes.
roll around in
It's a
for a
good thought
moment.
experiment. Good
It's a
thought
good thought
experiment.
experiment. Yeah, because I'm also not in absolute support. But um I do think for partnerships as well as friendships, family feels a little different to me because I wish there was more choice in that realm. I think there's a reason that like no contact usually involves a relationship we want to end, right? But there is something to be said for what diversity does to an ecosystem. And I think if you're entering particularly romantic relationships, but for sure friendships too, because friendship breakups hit me harder than romantic breakups for sure,
Mhm.
is usually the things I love about people are also the things that rub me the wrong way significantly. My partner and I have like regularly, probably every 6 months, check in on the thing that we like love about that person being also the thing that drives me fucking crazy about them. And it's a really good like awareness to have because they wouldn't be them without that.
I know people will say, I wish you weren't like that, but you probably wouldn't like them if they weren't like that.
Yeah.
Like people have
And
to
I'm
be
not.
so for real about that. Like be so for real about it. Like if you had met them and they didn't have that trait in the beginning, you probably wouldn't have even looked at them.
Mhm. Yeah. I learn, I have a stepkid in my world, and someone said to me earlier today, she's learning so much from you. And I was like, I'm changing because of her too. Like, it's not just like that I'm some like ultimate influence. It's like I chose this relationship also with her because it is such a teacher to me.
So in a way, she's a compromise partner.
Oh, boy, boy, howdy.
But
Compromising with a child is a
I think a good compromise partner, yeah, we're not putting the kid down by saying she's a compromise partner, but I think a good compromise partner is somebody where you can see that the friction that's innately in the relationship is going to serve you somehow. There's a
Mhm,
healthy amount of friction. It's like the thing with the Gottman Institute where they say 80% you're good, 20% you're not good. You need to have that
mhm,
20% because that's where you
mhm,
grow and you learn to let things go or transmute them or get stronger about certain things.
mhm,
So a good compromise partner, you can see the way that friction is serving you and where it
mhm.
is that you want to go in your life.
Yeah, so interesting. So I'm familiar with the Gottmans, but not like well versed, I would say. And so when that 20% starts to become 30, 40%, I wonder what that looks like because if we're thinking long term, whether you're in a friendship for 20 years or in a marriage for 20 years, or let's say like a romantic partnership, a life partnership, I do think there are seasons where it is 40% not good, right? But if it's 40% not good for 5 years, that's not really a great
Oh
situation.
yeah, like things it'll that maybe that percentage naturally waxes and wanes, but it's about how long it stays in the red, we can say.
Yeah. And how you
Yeah.
handle it.
Well, I
Because
think
I
the
also think of,
80% is supported by good conflict skills. The only reason why you're at 80% is because you have good conflict skills. So let's just name that. Sorry, I
completely.
interrupted you.
No, no. I think that's the metaphor of the relationship bank account. You're making enough deposits that when you make a massive withdrawal, you're not in the red. It's okay. Like, and repair looks like more deposits.
Hmm.
But I was just
Yeah.
going to say that the flavor of compromise matters, I think. How do you ask for compromise? Are you explicitly asking for compromise or are you demanding it?
Hmm.
Do you recognize and acknowledge out loud the level of compromise of which you are asking for and how that might be hard for someone? I think a lot of things that get missed in compromise are that acknowledgement of the other person's individuality and personhood. Especially the longer we are in a friendship or the longer we are in a like romantic partnership, it's like presumed that you're just going to deal with everyone's bullshit. And I think the regular realization that this person is still choosing you, and at any point they could not. Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't get divorced. Just because you're in a friendship doesn't mean that can't end.
Totally.
So the flavor of compromise, like, do you feel good with how they ask for things? Do they regularly ask you for a compromise that actually feels like a sacrifice?
Yeah, or are you the one always asking for compromise and they're just sitting there not asking for
Yes.
anything?
Not asking for anything. Ugh. Talk about avoidance, the cost of avoidance. Because people who don't ask for anything have requests.
Oh, 100%. There's two different versions of it. There's
Hmm.
two different versions of it, I think. But Something that's coming up for me is I think of Jason Gaddis, who I did my relationship coach training with, and who has really been a relationship mentor to me for like 7 years. Something that he says that's very spicy is like, he's like, you need to consistently remind yourself that you're also really difficult to date.
Yes.
Like your
Yeah.
partner is not just the difficult one. Like you need to be so real with yourself and realize that you're also really difficult to date. You're also
Mhm.
hard to be around.
Mhm.
And when you can just like open your heart, like, and it's not in like a self-flagellating way. It's just like if you, like for example, like if one person is the one who's always asking the other person to compromise, have you ever once thought that maybe that's hard to be around? You know what I mean? Like somebody who's like
Mhm.
always asking for the compromise. Like that might be difficult to be around. Or like in my
Mhm.
last relationship, my partner and I had a conflict that was pretty consistent around uh my self-worth and getting compliments and feeling like I thought he was into me. This was like a really big theme in our relationship. It was the best relationship I've ever been in. We just had this thing that just kept coming up and up and up. And when I was asking for more validation of the idea that he found me attractive or not, which was a theme that just kept coming up, something that he said that is his truth. I can't hold this against him. His truth was like, it's actually really hard for me to date somebody who's so self-conscious.
Mhm.
And then that's really hard to hear because there's a part of me that's like, why can't you just give me the fucking bone? And
Mm.
for him, it's his truth that it's hard for him to date somebody who is self-conscious.
Mhm.
And ironically, we just have different dynamics with people. I don't consider myself that self-conscious, but I think with him, I just had like a dynamic.
Mhm.
And so I was hard to date in that sense. And that's not like a hit on my self-worth, but I can recognize that that's probably difficult to be around if it's happening too often.
Mhm.
And so I have to look at that, or we need to find a way to work with that that benefits both of us and isn't just me
Mhm.
constantly trying to get him to do something that just does not come naturally to him.
Mhm.
He would prefer to be with a woman who is just so confident he never has to even say anything. He's attracted to that. I can't hold that
Mhm.
against him.
Mhm.
That's what he's into,
But that's you radically accepting the person that you're with also.
which is a principle that I operate by.
Yes.
And
So
then
I
there
think
comes a point
there's
where it doesn't work anymore sometimes.
yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for the way that you weren't falling for his potential to give you compliments someday.
100%.
You were willing to hear his truth at face value and orient to it,
Mm-hmm.
like, honestly and authentically.
Well, that's actually what happened was like maybe it was in the first year that we were together, this conflict kept coming up. And he was just giving me his truth about it and saying he could do a little bit better, maybe. And I like let him have that be something that he wasn't going to work on very much because actually, like, so many other categories of the relationship were good that I was like, maybe this isn't really that big of a deal. And so I said to myself, okay, you're going to try to do a little bit better, but this is also an opportunity for me to self-reflect and be like, well, what am I really looking for here? And so I very earnestly, for like a year and a half, tried to self-resource with that and to find
Mhm.
that confidence inside of myself and to do it without him, which was actually really good work. Like I
Mhm.
gained a lot from that. But there just came this, it's like a dynamic. Sometimes it's just like people are like peanut butter and you have an allergy to peanut butter and there's nothing wrong with peanut butter. Like
Mhm.
it's just like I'm not saying that I'm allergic to him, but it's just like we just had like a weird dynamic that like no amount of my own inner work and no amount of him trying to work on it was fixing it. And so among other reasons we had to split up, but it's like my modus operandi is like, okay, we have a conflict. Let's both try to work on this from both angles. I'm not just going to expect him to like clean up my fucking inner child issues because my mom put me on a diet in the 5th grade. Like that's not really
Really.
his work. That's kind of my work. But I
Mhm.
can expect to be with somebody who understands, wow, that's like really hard for you. That's really painful. I can hold space for the fact that that's something that goes really deep for you, but it's not really his job to fix that
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I was thinking as you were talking about a conversation I had over the weekend that I think to be in true lifelong partnership is to recognize that you are the remedy to someone's wounds sometimes. It doesn't mean you necessarily anticipated that you're going to be with someone who's going to need compliments. But there are requests, like I would consider that level of validation with someone who I'm dating, asking me to acknowledge that I'm more, uh, aesthetically attracted to them, or like be a little bit more specific in their compliments, a pretty like low stakes request for what it like expends
Totally.
from me.
100%.
But that's, I mean, clearly what we're talking about is like that's not the case for everyone.
No, he had like a serious issue with it.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said for someone. I'm experiencing this in my current partnership where requests or behaviors I made last time with my previous partner were so arduous that I expect that level of like efforting and like challenge and friction now. And I'm with someone who's like, why would I be upset about that? They're like, wow, you really like were having a hard time in that last dynamic. You know what I mean? So I say that because what do you think you learned for next time with that push and pull?
Around the self-worth.
Yeah, or like talk about like your inner truth
Um,
and maybe what you need from someone who you're sharing a life with.
um, yeah, because it's interesting with the self-worth confidence piece because I had actually not had that experience before. It was like a new thing in the relationship dynamic. Most people I've ever dated, I've always known that they're into me. Like I never really had doubts about that. Maybe I had
Mhm.
doubts about like how committed they are to the relationship, but like I've always known that like they found me attractive. So actually this was a new thing. But I think that the reason why I was in the relationship was not necessarily even to work on that. I think that we just had a weird dynamic. I think I met him to meet his daughter so that I could do some deep, hardcore inner child work. That was why I met him, was to meet his daughter. But anyway, the thing that I actually want to say is that this is just my opinion, but I think because I'm pretty unconventional relationally, I think that every relationship is a round of antibiotics.
Well, when you say that, say
It's a
more.
round of antibiotics. We might have even said this in the last episode. I don't even remember. But and I think that like this round of the last relationship was like a pretty powerful round of antibiotics because you have to go through the whole course, and the whole course is probably like my whole life. But like as you continue to take the antibiotics, like the bigger bugs get killed. But I actually think
Hmm.
it's like deeper bugs. So
Hmm.
like they're like psychologically like deeper bugs. And
Yeah.
so I think that like this last relationship killed some like way deeper bugs around just kind of like me just almost kind of like reconsidering like what is even the point of being in a relationship actually? What am I actually seeking? How can this actually enrich my life? Because despite the fact that it was like a really good relationship, all in all, very few complaints in the big picture. Um, it was a relationship where I was really enriching his life, and I don't really feel like my life was getting enriched. And I think that's a pattern that is like deep, deep frequency codependency issues that I have just from my enmeshed relationship with my mom, where
Right.
I don't even realize I'm doing it until like 2 years in, and then I'm like, God damn it. Why
Hmm.
am I enriching this person's life so much more than they're enriching my life? It's just such a theme. And so I think that this last relationship was like an antibiotic bug buster of me like finally being like literally, what is the actual literal fucking point of, sorry, men who are listening, being with a fucking man who is not treating me like a princess? Like I just like I'm literally like, what the hell have I been doing? And so I can really feel that like I will never engage with relationship in the same way ever again. And when I say a man
Hmm.
treating me like a princess, I do not mean traditional gender roles. I just mean that's almost like the pendulum swinging hard in the other direction for me, where I'm just kind of like, what's in it for me? I can give you everything. I'm a fucking goddess. I'm an amazing listener. So I'm a great partner. I'm extremely generous.
Hmm.
I will tune into exactly what people need. I'm like, my sight on somebody's life is like fucking gold.
Hmm.
And so if that's the case, if there's a suitor, regardless of gender, who approaches me, I'm gonna be like, literally, what the fuck are you doing for me?
Hmm.
And I think we've had this discussion. I have gate 40 Jupiter, which is the gate of aloneness, which is literally the energy of like, what are you going to do for me? And
Mhm.
whatever Jupiter touches gets bigger.
Mhm.
So I'm literally feel like this antibiotic round of the last relationship was like me really sinking into like really picking a good compromise partner. Like
Mhm.
really picking a good compromise partner. And I'd rather have none at all if I don't have a good one at this point. But I knew that a while
Real.
ago. I was like, if me and Jay ever break up, I am going full celibate nun. It's over. It's fucking over.
Yeah.
I knew
No,
that
I
a while
relate to that a
ago.
lot. Yeah, I relate to that a lot. But I think too, like they're correct me if I'm wrong. They're you're speaking to your experience and you're like, what the fuck is it that I give myself so much to people who don't kind of reciprocate the thing I need? But I want to say I do think 2 years is the sweet spot of what the dynamic that you're signing up for. Because there's like the 6 months to a year where it's just like, oh, I found this amazing person. Oh, I'm like, of course I'm going to of course I'm going to show them that I'm an amazing cook. Of course I'm going to show them I'm an amazing artist, that I can plan really cool trips and dates, and that I am a really great gift giver, that our snuggles are really beautiful. And then life happens and schedules get more complicated and things become more expensive, or you spent a lot of money last year, so you don't want to spend the same amount of money
Mm.
this year, and you witness all these different seasons of someone. And I think there are people even 10 years in, um, who experience a side of their partner and are like, no.
No, totally. I think that 2 years is when the truth and confrontation, like you can't ignore it anymore. It's like
Yeah,
clockwork. It's like clockwork.
yeah, which makes sense. I just celebrated my 2-year anniversary
Mhm.
literally last week,
Mhm.
and right before this call, a pattern came up that I'm like, God, this is what I'm signing up for. If this is the dynamic, like truly, I don't know that this will ever significantly change to the point that it's no longer a problem. So what do I do with that? But the 80% is pretty fucking good.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that clarity comes from the fact that in my last dynamic, I don't know that I could have gotten more Olympic medals in avoiding my own truth.
Like Guinness
Like
World
if
Record,
only
perhaps.
correct. I mean, and then there's someone listening to this is like, I bet I got you beat.
I'll put down $250 that I've got it 10 times worse. Yep.
Correct. But there was just I wanted that relationship so, so bad. And it's like, who do you need me to be? And at the same time, I am making myself so sick
Mm.
trying to be who you need me to be versus who I need me to be. In my now relationship, I get to be who I need me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I said to someone about my relationship in the 2-year honoring of it is I get to feel both freedom and safety, which is a unique mix.
That's what we're going for.
Correct. But also because of loss, like I think really there's something special about really going through it and experiencing total self-betrayal, and how it teaches you to choose people who are going to show up for you when the house burns down, when your kids have like significant illness or strife, when finances are fucking terrible, and that's who you're choosing. And if I hadn't gone through total self-betrayal, I don't think I would have fortified in the way that I've been offered
Was that your
now.
antibiotic round or?
Oh my God. I don't, again, I think that was like 9 rounds of antibiotics those 6 years I was with that person. God help me. There's a lot of my self-work is like the biggest grief I'm in now about that is how I could have betrayed myself so badly.
Like, what
Like,
was I
oh my
thinking?
goodness. How could I do that to me? There's like so much, like I have so much remorse, I have so much gratitude. Like it's just such a deeply feeling experience. I would never give it up, even though, oh my God, so painful. I'm still recovering. Like that wound still gets wound care on a
Yeah,
day-to-day
yeah,
basis,
yeah,
years later.
yeah.
Um, but oh my gosh, I'm so much stronger and I know myself so much more. And I know where I'm willing to say, oh yeah, that's an easy compromise. You need compliments? Of course. In
At
my
least,
case, as
yeah.
your friend, I'm like, let me shower this bitch in compliments. You're fucking awesome. And who you date, I feel so skeptical of because they have to show up really well for my friend who is a total fucking goddess. Right. But also, just to say to listeners, I think we talked about this last time. It's not like Hanna and I are without conflict,
Right.
but because we value conflict so well, I never feel like conflict is hard, actually, with you.
Yeah.
Because we're just like, oh, there's a thing. We need to talk about it. Oh, okay, cool. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me. Also, here's something I think you
Yeah.
need to hear.
Yeah.
And it's just like pretty grounded and neutral, I think, actually.
Well, I think the reason why that really works for us is because we both know how to do it because it is a skill that you have to learn. It's like literally a thing that you have to learn how to do.
Yes. And trial and error
And
and
trial and
refine.
error and get information about yourself and others,
Hmm.
da 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 da. Da. But I think the reason why it also works so well for us is because we've integrated conflict as just like a natural part of life. And I think talk about avoiding truth and confrontation. People like literally don't want it to even have a seat at the table. They're like, conflict shouldn't exist. I should be in a marriage where we never fight. If I ever am in a conflict, I'm gonna do something fucking crazy and weird. Like, people just have such a
Hmm.
weird narrative about conflict. And I think the reason why we do well with it is because I literally see it as like brushing my teeth or like getting enough steps so I have enough exercise so I can like treat my body
Hmm.
well. It's like that level of base human experience is good
Yes.
conflict skills. So it's like most people have two, it's like you either totally avoid it or your story of it is like extremely disempowering. And so then you keep
Yes.
avoiding it.
I said this recently. I feel like conflict is fiber.
Yes.
You get constipated without it. Like it's going to be uncomfortable, you're going to be bloated, things are going to hurt more than if you just had a fucking apple. Eat some lettuce. Like please eat your fiber because that's how things move.
Yes. That's how things move. You got to keep it moving.
Yes.
You got to
And
keep it
so
moving. Some marriages are
we
not
talked
able to be saved because there's too much that's
yeah.
constipated. And that's like real. People don't talk about that enough. Like
Yeah,
sometimes you literally can't save a marriage because there's too much unresolved conflict.
totally. But you have allowed it. I think there's like special recipes to get there and one of them is constipation.
Hmm.
But another is you've developed an inauthentic relationship because of self-betrayal, because you're not bringing up the things that really bother you, because you're not listening to what really bothers your partner. And like, how are you building a strong foundation with that? Butthole's got to collapse eventually. Joking. Sorry, everyone.
I mean, we use digestive tract metaphors. Of course, you have to talk about poop, right?
I mean, I do.
What does the digestive tract make? It makes poop. So we don't avoid the dark around here. We don't avoid the uncomfortable stuff.
No.
Sorry for
And
the poop, guys.
metabolizing your experience is such a critical piece.
Mhm.
You're not going to know thyself is metabolizing your experience. So, the other thing too is since I'm talking about this, I think to enter true romantic partnership and life partnership is to acknowledge that you are dating a wounded person. And are you interested in being even like marginally the remedy for them?
Hmm.
Which is not to say I take total responsibility for this person's healing. No, 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 no. But you're going to be part of it or not, which I think is detrimental. And so entering an experience knowing that you both have to know yourself enough to do your own work and be with someone, both in romantic partnership and friendship, I think, who's actually interested in not further harming you is like absolute bare bones. And I don't know that everyone is choosing things from that perspective because harm is going to happen, but how we handle that harm is so significant. And that goes for our relationship with ourselves also. Like, how am I handling the harm I inflicted on myself in self-betrayal to make a relationship work? And I'm not saying anymore, Monica, what a fucking idiot. How could you fucking do that? I'm like, man, of course you did that. Of course you did that. I'm so glad you did, because I will also never do that again. And it's like a canon event. It can't be interrupted. Nothing anyone could have said to me would have made me choose differently. And I had a lot of friends in my corner, like, to help, trying their darndest to help me see. Hanna was definitely one of them.
Hey, at least you got it over with in your 20s.
Well, sort of. We broke up in my early 30s, but yes, the significant chunk of the relationship was in my 20s. Yeah. And it's actually, again, such a gift, so beautiful, because I see people making certain choices and I'm like, could never be me.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I wish you well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on this kick right now about friends abandoning each other just because you don't agree with the decision they're making. When really I'm like, no, those are the times that your friends like need you the most. And you can self-manage with how to deal with them making a bad decision that feels like it hurts you. Right. So it makes me wonder, actually, like, are there places where our own inner truth is maybe not the thing to lean into? I don't know if it's avoiding it necessarily. Because I think about it in my base level, like, the thing that comes up for me in exploring my deeper wounds is the I'm unlovable. I think a naive and immature perspective could be like, my deep inner truth is that I'm unlovable.
That's a possible inner truth.
Yeah. And it's not one that I want to operate from. So I can notice when it comes online,
Right.
and I'm not going to let that truth drive the bus. Oh my gosh.
Huh. I do think there's a distinction between like the inner truth and just like an inner belief system.
I would say it's like that line in the ocean where two waters they're like rubbing up against each other.
Yeah.
There's the line where the waters
Huh.
are one, but they
Yeah.
are two distinct different things.
Yeah. Because, okay, this is what's coming up for me. I've been going through all these family photos, scanning them, looking at pictures of me when I was a baby, and then like 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm looking at these pictures of me when I'm 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's actually 7 was the age that I met my stepdaughter. And
Mm.
that age and below is just like God consciousness. Like ego definition's not really there. Like you're literally just like a blob of life force moving through reality. And when I think about like when I look at pictures of her, like me when I was like 4, 5, 6, I think like if the inner truth is somewhere, it's like she knew what the inner truth was. She probably couldn't put it into words, but like there's
Mhm.
something there that was like undisturbed. And then the ego definition comes in 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, which is just part of human development. And it gets squashed. And then there's like the conditioning. That's when it all got really bad with my mom, was when I became an individual. And so I think there's like this pure thing inside of us that we come into this life with, this like pure truth. And that's going to be different for all of us. But then, like I'm saying, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that's when you go through the individuation stage, ego definition. And then my mom really didn't like that I was becoming my own person. And so then her conditioning comes in, and she's giving me similar deep conditioning of like, I'm not lovable as I am,
Mhm.
because who I was growing. And she was like, why are you so ugly? Like, I think my mom was legitimately disappointed that I was such a chopped sixth grader. Like I'm saying this with love. Like I was a little bit chopped in middle school. And my mom was really attractive and beautiful her whole life. And I legitimately think she was upset that I was such an ugly kid. And so I get this deep conditioning of like, I'm not lovable unless I look, act, feel a certain way. But that me, angel God consciousness, 3, 4, 5, 6, didn't have any of that.
Mhm.
Do you see what I mean? So I think there's a difference between like the truth and then like the conditioned belief system. That's the example
Completely.
I'm gonna give. The
Wounds are
wound.
conditions.
The wound. Yeah, exactly.
Completely. Completely. Now, I think what's so interesting about this is, again, if we could reference the people who have the expectation that like conflict is bad, inherently bad, should not be happening. If conflict is present, it's because something's bad and wrong. To me, and I think part of the reason I've chosen grief and conflict as my career, I find them the most truthful moments of human existence. And yet we consider them very ugly. Like to be in conflict, to be in grief is like this mournful, horrible, painful place to truly avoid at all costs. I think a lot of people kind of mistake conflict as rejection. To be in conflict is to be rejected.
100%.
And so I say this because the inherent nature of life includes the broken and the mistakes and the terror that it is to be in existence and potentially lose the love of your life or potentially lose a really meaningful friendship or family that you love deeply and feel like really true belonging with. And I wonder how we are orienting our inner truth around that falsehood of like, I am a good person. And then you do something that's kind of shitty and it shatters your perception that you're a good person. And so your inner truth must, I don't even know if this is an opinion, I think it's true, but it must include the ugly, the broken, the wound, the sometimes I can really be a piece of shit. I'm also hard to date. You know, I think one of my annoyances of dating men in particular, when I date women, they're so much more accepting of the fact that like I can be fucking haggard, because of course I can. And men are like, whoa, you look a little crazy without makeup on and in your grubby little like oversized gross t-shirt, you know? And I'm like, well, yeah, like I'm a person. If you were in the bathroom with me all the time, you would be even more confronted with like the full magnitude of what I'm
Speaking of the
capable of.
digestive tract.
Correct. So like let's be so for real about the fact that like living together is also going to be include this pieces that aren't the most like gorgeous person out to our anniversary dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But I also there's such a detriment to excluding that ugly part. I
So
just
you're
feel like
saying
you're
there's like
resisting an
there's
ultimate
like a
truth.
full spectrum of the inner truth.
Yeah.
Inner
How could
truth
there
is
not
like
be?
the so-called beautiful desires and inner truth. Like there's like nice inner truths and then there's like ugly inner truth. This is what you're saying. There's like a spectrum.
It's totally spectrum. I feel like apprehensive to like even moralize
Oh,
it.
totally.
But I think that's the hindrance of words sometimes because I when you and I are talking on a personal level, I'll sometimes say like I'm having an ugly thought, right? And it's usually like petty, unkind, judgmental. So I do categorize things in that way.
Yeah.
But I think in our own inner work, when there's already so much guilt and shame, to moralize those kind of things is hard. And I think the practice of not moralizing them makes it easier to accept someone else in all of their flaws and ugly and pretty and beautiful and desirable and undesirable, tangible and intangibles.
Oh yeah, I think the phrase that's coming up. Okay, yeah, I think people are like really obsessed with not being a bad person in a way that
Mhm,
is like self-effacing. Because I
mhm.
think that, like, okay, we're saying we're not moralizing it, but I think that people are really obsessed with not being a bad person in a way that, like, boxes people into a way of existence that is just not actually tenable. And to me, I think, yeah, really profound work for me has actually been accepting that I am a bad person. Like I can be a bad person. I'm capable of being a bad person and I'm like comfortable with that because isn't that just the case? God, we're all bad
Mhm.
people. Oh my God. Like the people who
Mhm.
think that they're not bad people are throwing trash out the window on the highway. Like they're doing shit in
100%.
secret that they would never admit,
Yes.
or like the people that are like really vocal about certain initiatives to say things
Mhm.
cryptically are abusing their children. I've seen it. I've
100%.
seen it.
Yes.
And so it's like I'm comfortable with the fact that I'm a bad person. And actually, I feel like speaking of inner truths that are like kind of in gray areas or something, or like are moving in what we call like a spectrum of good or bad, like being a step parent actually revealed an inner truth through the antibiotic round, which is
Mm.
that I'm really self-centered. I'm
Mhm.
so self-centered. I just want to do whatever the fuck I want to do. I am not selfless enough for
Mhm.
motherhood. I'm literally not. And you know what that really confronted in me? Is like, wow, I've been judging my own parents for not being selfless enough with me, and I can't even do it.
Mhm.
That's been a real full circle moment for me.
Yeah,
I can't
I
even
have
be
those moments too.
selfless. And I've been
Yep.
expecting my family to be selfless. I can't even fucking do it. And so
Mhm.
it's like that, speaking of like accepting the inner, yeah, these deep inner truths and avoiding truth and confrontation and finally confrontation and actually accepting it. It's like, I feel like a big new thing for me is like actually really embracing the fact that I'm a pretty self-centered person. And that's actually interesting for me to say as a yogi. But I think when I say
Mhm.
self-centered, it's like I'm just very preoccupied with my work and what I want to
Mhm.
do and the way that I want to live my life. There's just something going on that's so important to me that like I can't be distracted from it. And I
Mhm.
get really angry. Anger comes up when I'm distracted from it. And
What do you
so
think
that,
that's about?
well, I think I have a long story with like my mom where I felt like every single time I was gonna go and do something that I really wanted to do, she'd find a way to stop it.
Mhm.
And so I can
I
get
was
really
wondering.
angry if I'm impeded on what I want to do because it's like, oh my God, I had so many experiences like that growing up. It's like as soon as I had even a speck of freedom, something would happen. Or it's like I've even had that experience in my body where I feel like right when
Mhm.
I'm on the cusp of experiencing freedom, my body will shut down.
Mhm.
Like this is a pattern that I've noticed in myself. And so like just there's this feeling of like an animal being trapped in a cage that I've often kind of contended with. And I think that me accepting how self-centered I am is actually helping me to be not be the animal in the cage because that just doesn't work for me. And the impact that I'm here to make on reality needs me to not be an animal in the cage. So
Okay.
it actually is about more than just me.
Well, that's what I was gonna say next is like, knowing you at the level that I do, I think it's such an interesting I agree that you can be self-centered. You are also completely centered in other people,
Yes.
their needs. Like you're also someone who's deeply interested in service, not just on like who's going to hire me and be my client, who's going to like join my Patreon for the people that are like listening to this, but also at your ashram, in your friendships, in your relationships. Like you literally named being so giving that it takes you 2 years to determine that you're actually like giving too much.
Or like you're one of the few people that I actually share my inner world with. Like I'm so self disinterested in myself in certain situations that I'll have a friendship where I don't even tell them anything about my life because I'm
Yeah, I
so
believe it.
disinterested in the other person. And that's something that I'm trying to work on. But it's like there's a paradox where it's like I'm deeply self-centered, but like when I'm in relational dynamics, this does feel correct for me. It's like sometimes I'm just like I'm really holding the space for the other person and it just comes naturally to me.
Well, it's part of what I want to point to actually is like I think sometimes we can avoid facing the truth of ourselves that we can be self-centered, that we are self-centered because there's something like that's like an absolution. Like, well, I'm self-centered, that means I'm a piece of shit and that I'm fucking wrong and everything I've ever done is wrong. And so, it's like I can just hear it in like a couples conflict
Yeah.
where you're like, well, I guess I'm just a piece of shit then, or not, like that's a place that people go all the time. And it's like, no, no, no. I'm so multitudinal that it's both. In
Yes.
that decision that we're talking about that you're bringing up right now because it hurt you, yes, I was self-centered. And I'm working on it. And next time, I'm going to make sure that I check in with you first because I know that I can orient toward myself first. And I can see that in this instance, I really needed to orient toward both of us. And I'm sorry about that. Such a different place. That's exactly where you come from. But likely, the reason that you're able to come from that place of like, oh, fuck, I can't be like that, is because you accept it about yourself.
Yes.
When we're in resistance to the fact that we can be self centered, someone's genuinely attacking a core identity you have, which is, I'm a good person. A
Dude,
good person wouldn't do that.
there's an entire circuit in the human design body graph that's all about being self-centered. And people are out here acting like they're not. Like those people are
Mhm.
supposed to be self-centered,
Mhm.
self-referential, self-survival,
We'll
self-focused.
talk
Like that's
about
like a thing.
accepting other people, right? I think culturally, when we talk that when we say someone's self-centered, we're saying they are bad, they are flawed, that is wrong.
Right.
But I think what I notice in the people that I keep in my close inner world are people who have a strong tether to themselves,
Yes.
which doesn't mean that they're like horrible. It just means like they have had to be in relationship with themselves. I want them in relationship with themselves because to be in intimacy with people who are ignoring themselves is actually worse, in my opinion.
Yes.
They make their ignoring themselves my problem, my fault.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And I say that as someone who is like actively remedying that in myself. I mean, I've named it several times.
Yeah.
Self-betrayal was how I survived as a child in an alcoholic and emotionally abusive and manipulative household. As long as I oriented to everyone else, I was safe. My needs did not matter, could not be prioritized. And it's into my 30s that I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But now I find it that when I orient to myself, I'm like, oh, I was self-centered.
I
Thank
think people
goodness.
deeply crave being self-centered. And you know what I think is like a collective example of people deeply craving being self-centered
Mm,
is like artists. People really want to have like a disciplined practice. Or like,
mm,
you know what I mean? And an artist who has a disciplined practice is self-centered. Like they put
yes,
it above their relationships. They put it above their other commitments, or they like prioritize it at least around their other commitments, like if they have a day job or their family or something. Like an artist is a
totally.
self-centered person.
Totally. I was actually, I think that archetype relates to so many things. And really, discipline is
Discipline.
self-centered.
Yes.
Because also, I think about athletes or
Yes.
people who ever like really prioritized their career. And I'm you're giving me this hit of like, there's so many videos online these days about romantic relationships in particular that are like the remedy to the things that you've done for your entire life around romantic relationships is to hold boundaries for yourself. That if you planned to go to the gym after work today and that person texts you unexpectedly, do you want to get dinner?
Mhm.
Say you're busy because you had a plan to go to the gym.
Yes.
People actually like that. They like that you keep commitments to yourself. You also build a strong relationship with yourself by keeping your commitments to yourself versus showing your body, I will compromise what
Oh
you
my God,
need. I will
stop
compromise my
letting yourself
goals.
down.
Yes. And then you expect someone else to remedy what you've actually done. And so I just think it's such a fucking powerful thing that you're naming in this discipline that there are so many places we could be disciplined that are so outside of food and career or even art. Like be disciplined in your thoughts.
Yeah.
As you are in this ending, something I've said to you is like, I'm so proud of how disciplined you are in your thoughts and that you don't believe everything you think.
Oh,
You're like, oh, of course I would be thinking that. Of course, that's a true feeling, but I'm not
yeah.
going to choose to lean into that.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not
You
gonna
know,
necessarily go have a dance with that thought. Or if
no,
I do, I can catch myself and be like, "Girl, what are you doing?"
yeah, it's for a song.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll dance
you don't
for
take
a
on.
song. And then I'm like, "Okay,
Yes.
this is fucking boring."
Hmm.
Hating
I
myself is
love that.
so
This is fucking boring.
boring. Oh my God, it's so boring.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that perspective that like to be conflict forward is to be disciplined.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, oh, I actually like I get excited about unearthing things that need to be addressed.
That's because we're freaks.
True. And
We're
I
the
actually have
1%.
to I have to catch myself and be like, not everyone wants to like dive deep into something that happened that day right before bed. If my partner's listening to this, I am sorry. And I do know I'm like this. And I am working on it.
Mm. Yeah. Do you think
What's
that's
coming
one
up
of
for the
the
room?
reasons why in conflict school we do a lot of like emphasis on like meditation and somatic awareness and slowing down because conflict actually does require discipline, like good developing good conflict skills? What's the
I
connection,
feel
Monica, between conflict and
100%. I
mindfulness?
think it's such a leading question because of course, which I know is on purpose, but uh to be disembodied is to be dysregulated and in internal conflict. I think what part of our mission is to create a new conflict culture. And that's what when I say like I'm excited when things surface, I'm genuinely like, oh whoa.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in my own, I am the student and I'm working with a practitioner or I'm working with a healer to actually work on something in myself and something new arises or that I get like words to a thing, I'm like, oh wow, cool. Like a new way to think about that. Or maybe I'm finally like forming a feeling that has happened. But I'm only able to do that because I self regulate in my body. Some of the stuff I have to face is like, do I want to look at the fact that I've oriented my entire fucking existence around this horrible thought I have about myself, planted likely before I was even like cognitively truly online? No. I like chocolate cake and TV just like the rest of us. If I could be doing that fucking lazy shit that's just like indulgent dopamine stuff, I would love that. But that's like not what life's about. And I suffer when I orient toward pleasure only,
Or comfort.
comfort only.
But it
That's a
is
great,
just,
better
it's
way to put it.
uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable comfort.
Yeah.
It's like
So,
you're like in a humid room of your own fetid issues,
mm,
watching Netflix.
oh, like sometimes I come home, excuse me, from traveling and my house just smells bad. So I think sensation and managing sensation and noticing sensation is a quintessential part of conflict. Sometimes I'll even say when I'm like up, like I'm noticing I'm thinking faster than I can feel.
Yeah.
So I think I need to take a break. Or if I can't take a break, I take a break internally. It's like I'm actually going to listen or I'm just going to allow silence. One of my triggers is too long silences in conflict. I'm like, "Oh, you have nothing to fucking say?"
Oh, that must mean
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
okay.
care.
Correct.
Oh, I know. And then you date a
Oh,
man, and it takes him
I'm with
forever
a
to form a
dunce.
sentence.
Correct. Oh, look, another man. Yeah, no, don't worry. I got those petty thoughts. So yeah, of course, to teach sensation. It's the whole reason we're doing it.
Yeah, well,
I'd
actually,
love to say
I'll,
intellectual.
yeah, intellectual. It's both. It's a little bit of both because there's the intellectual and then there's the skills. There's the actual method and approaches, and then there's like being in the fucking field and feeling shit and having stuff come up and noticing the way that like okay yeah I noticed that when my heart starts racing super fast in a discussion it's harder for me to think so maybe I need to take five. Like you just have to
Mhm,
have that level of self-awareness
mhm.
and be with conflict partners who can like care about your well-being and be like yeah I want to figure this out with you, go for a walk, you know what I mean? And so like I had a experience the other night where I got into a conflict with a lady at a bar sitting
A
next to
literal
me,
stranger.
a literal stranger, this is a longer story. I'm not going to tell the whole story right now. But basically, she was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with me, where like we were like sitting next to each other because I was there to watch the hockey game. And she starts talking to me, and then all of a sudden she goes Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with me and just starts like verbally abusing me, like out of nowhere. And this lady was like an alcoholic. I clocked it from the second I saw her like 2 hours earlier. And she starts like verbally abusing me. And I was actually so shocked by it that at first I gasped because I was like, what is even happening here? And then she just like kept going like machine gun bullets at me with vitriolic hate speech. It was so intense, but it reminded me of my mom. That's how my mom used to be. And I'm just watching it happen. And I'm so glad that I have so much experience with watching my body and disciplining my mind and being present. Present. The word present is really important because I could notice that I was like, oh, wow, like I'm feeling this energy rising of nervousness and anxiety. I kind of feel like I'm trapped in a dangerous conversation, which it may have been if I had said something. And then I made a response to her after she gave me her monologue about why I'm a terrible person. And I was like, I respect your opinion, but I'm comfortable with myself. Thank you for being honest, which is such a crazy thing to say to somebody. And then as she kept going, because she just kept talking and talking and talking, I started to feel like my whole body was like white noise. And that's when I knew I was like, I have to get out of this situation. Cause like I couldn't even hear myself speak. I couldn't even hear her. It's like when I start like blacking out from like getting triggered, like it's time for me to go. And so I was just really grateful that like I had my own back in that situation. I knew what my signal was. And I was like, have a good night, paid my tab, and I left. And then I did a bunch of somatic shit in the parking lot to move the energy. But it's like, you know, I've had experiences like that. I think I have a little bit of like a karma around like encountering alcoholic energy in the wild to kind of like test me to see where I'm at. And like 4 years ago, I would have been in that situation and it would have knocked me out for 2 days. And I had like a 30-minute turnaround. But it's because it's like I'm so intimately aware of my inner experience and self-responsible. And like it's like, okay, this lady, I cannot do fucking shit about her, but I can take responsibility for myself and what I need in this moment. And luckily I was in a situation where I can get away from her. Sometimes we're not so lucky. Oh, you're muted, Mon.
How long did you live uh before you really felt like you could address things like that? Like when did you start to notice that you were fortified, that you could notice your sensations, that you could take breaks?
In the last 3 years, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I was also, it wasn't until my 30s that it felt true.
Yeah.
Like I was experimenting with this stuff in my 20s, but still very much acting from my wounds in a way that's like irresponsible and harmful to other people and myself. So good on you though.
Yeah,
Also,
I
the
was proud of
willingness to do
myself.
somatic shit in public in the parking lot,
Yeah.
that's like so good. So good.
Oh my God, I don't care. I was shaking around like an animal, waving my arms,
Yeah.
breathing. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the culture of Colorado's like, yeah,
Yeah, people,
someone's
I'm in
having the
like the
somatic
town.
experience.
I'm in the town where if somebody's gonna see what's happening, they're like, yeah, respect. Just did that earlier.
Correct. Whereas someone in New York is gonna see that and be like, that wacko. Bless them.
Tweaker alert.
Literally. I'm not getting involved in that, but good luck.
Oh my God, I know it's so funny.
Well, I'm
Well,
excited to get into that kind of stuff in conflict school though.
mhm.
Last year people really had big experiences in our like meditation and
Yeah. Oh my
manifestation
gosh.
type of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It was good.
Yeah.
But that's how I know it's working. That's how we know we have people who are like willing to go there in
Yeah.
the class, which I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those are the people I want to work with. So
100%.
if that's you, I think we're opening up registration on June 16th.
June 16th, registration is open. And at the time of recording this, I'm not 100% sure if it'll have already been opened or what, but either right on the cusp or it's already open.
Yeah.
And from June 16th until June 23rd, we have early bird pricing. So for the entire 6-week course of Conflict School, it'll be $200. And then it goes to the full price of $250 until July 30th, which is when we start class. And it's Tuesday nights for 6 weeks in a row.
Tuesday nights for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Me too. We learned a lot last time.
We sure did.
And we got a better
And there's
name.
even more.
The last name wasn't bad. It's a great phrase. I just feel like Conflict School is like so much more succinct and to the point.
Well, it's just like what we ended up. That was like the natural thing it wanted to be called. Yeah. But the ethos can be run toward the hard shit and noticing when you don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I love noticing when I'm turning away from things. It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm turning away because that's actually the best option. Other times I'm turning away because I'm an avoidant little bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you're a freak listener who loves doing deep archaeological digs on all of your issues, but in a way that's going to actually make your life better, then Conflict School is for you.
Yeah, we're going to teach you to delight in the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
it's very rewarding.
Join us.
Well, Monika, to wrap up, let's do a closing question for each other. I'll start with you. So speaking of being a freak who loves unearthing things that are going to ultimately make our life better, like what's like a juicy thing that like you've been turning towards? Like maybe something that's kind of edgy or difficult to confront. Like what's your like juicy edge right now? Oh, I sound like I don't like that I said that, but
it's your juicy edge right now.
What's your juicy edge?
You and I have talked about this already, but I am really facing the reality that I don't like people sometimes. So I was just like going through this today with someone I work with, again, as like the receiver to the work. That I have this weird understanding that if I discard other people, I am discarded. And it's like my system simply understands it as abandonment in conjunction with my fundamental ethos of seeing and understanding people's pain so clearly that because I have compassion toward them and I like get their story, I make excuses for them to keep them in my life, or keep them in my life and keep them closer. And I really have a strong aversion to like fully not liking people and being like, oh, you're not my person.
Because you don't want to be a bad person.
Because I don't want to be a bad person. It's very much like if I don't discard anyone, then I'm never a villain. And if I'm never a villain, I'm a good person. And clearly I end, like I'm telling you all my ugliest thought, but like I end relationships. I take steps back from relationships. I reorient expectations, on and on and on. And that is the work that I'm doing, is like, it's okay, girl. Like, please, actually, when I was in cycles of being someone to everyone, I was exhausted. And I allowed other people to have way too high of expectations of me and my presence in their life. It's like, I have my circle at this point. I have the standards of what it is to be in that circle. Few people make it in and invest the time. That's totally fine. I love being in community. I love the like rings outward of intimacy. There's many different layers. Sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out. Sometimes I'm in, sometimes I'm out. It's like all actually totally fine. But I am a horrible villain that discards people and is a bad person. Thank God.
I feel like you just gave us a monologue about the fifth line experience.
Oh my gosh. Well,
fifth line does not want to be the villain, but the fifth line kind of is the villain.
It's inevitable. Resisting it is futile. What's something you're chewing on and working on right now?
I feel like my juicy edge is actually like maybe like it's not like I'm digging a hole in the backyard to bury something and say goodbye to it. I feel like my juicy edge is actually considering what I actually want from romantic relationship. And if there's something that might get buried in the backyard, and I mean that metaphorically, it's like possibly like a long-term relationship. There's like a thing that I feel like is kind of like gestating inside of me where I'm kind of realizing like I actually might not be cut out for a long-term relationship, which has nothing to do with my self-worth, nothing to do with how lovable I am. It's just like there's certain aspects of like my astrological chart and even my human design that have like been making me kind of think like, am I even like supposed to be in a long-term relationship?
Mm.
And then when I like really think about that, it's like I have to kind of put to rest other potentials. And I'm open to things. I'm open to life, but I think a past version of me, if I had ever even considered the thought of like I'll never be in a long-term relationship, I would have thought of that as like a personal failing. Whereas I think that there's like a possibility that like I could just have a ton of very enriching relationships over the course of my life, and that actually might be better for me. And I'm just playing with that. I'm just kind of like letting that be a thing that could happen. And like not viewing it as I'm like not moralizing it at all. Like that's just like the thing that might happen. And from an astrological point of view, I'm pretty sure my Venus is in the sixth house in Sagittarius. And so there's like something about like I just kind of and also my design moon is in beginnings. And the design moon in the gene key system is a lot about like attraction. And so there's like a little thing about me of just kind of like I kind of just want to have fun for a while. It's like that like lifelong addiction to like new relationship energy. Like there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there with me where I'm kind of just in it for the start. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I've maybe been lying to myself about being in it for the home run.
Mm.
And so I'm that's my juicy edge is just kind of like noticing what grief I feel around letting go of a previous narrative around I need to find somebody who I'm with for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
We're like
Yeah.
opposites in
But
that
you
way.
also,
I mean, not we're
yeah,
actually really similar, but like you were saying that like you deeply do want that like marriage experience.
I want an anchor partner.
Right.
I love to play, which also can be like really meaningful and long lasting. But yeah, um, I'm going to send you the song by Brittany Howard that's all about like, I only want the beginning.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
time is going to kill it.
Oh yeah.
So we'll just see how that percolates in your system. It's such a great song.
Hmm.
But that's really interesting. And I think too, you make me think of something someone said to me recently that was like they'd rather have just a smattering of like 3 to 6 year relationships throughout their life
That
than
might be
someone you're
fine.
stuck with forever. It's totally fine. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
It
That's what you're
might be
saying.
fine.
You can create whatever relationship works for you.
Yeah, and I'm also like I'm so like literally, like when you hear about like Christian nuns who are like I'm in a relationship with Jesus, like I kind of feel like I'm in a relationship with God. Like
Yeah,
that's
that makes
like my
sense.
primary relationship. And so it's like I almost kind of think that experience is why I've taken this recent breakup the way that I have is because it's like I kind of know that it's like there's more to life than just like holding on to something, you know?
Yeah. Also, for those listening, the way that she's taking this recent breakup is as maturely and honoring of the love and connection as I have ever seen anyone do. So, just for context.
I am reaping the fruits of something.
Yeah, it's great. And you teach other people how to do that,
Mhm.
which is cool. So, come learn from us
Come learn from us.
and explore your juicy edge, bitches. That's how
Oh
it
my God,
sounded to me.
stop. The third round of conflict school is going to be called Juicy Edges with Monica and
Oh, the way we both would be like, wow, we've changed.
I'm going full
Time has
orgasmic
done its work.
abundance. It's the
True.
circle goes around. Circle goes
Life
around.
is the circle is or what is it? The Venn diagram is a
The
circle.
Venn diagram is a circle.
All right.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys in class, all right?
Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope this conversation gave you a few things to sit with. And if there's one theme I hope you take away, it's that conflict is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It's literally just part of being in a relationship. You will never get away from conflict. You'll never get away from it. There's no perfect relationship where it doesn't happen. And frankly, any relationship that I have ever seen where there's no conflict, there are deep conflicts that nobody's talking about. So the question is whether you know how to meet conflict skillfully or whether you want to spend the rest of your life avoiding it. When I say those two things, what do you actually want? You're the adult now. You are the captain of your own ship. How do you want to direct the ship? Now, like I said in the beginning, if this conversation resonated with you, Monika and I would love to have you join us for Conflict School, which begins July 28th, a 6-week training where we teach the transformative art of fighting well, how to navigate conflict with more honesty, more self-awareness, and more care. We genuinely, seriously, gravely believe that learning how to fight better is one of the highest return investments you can make in your entire life. Your relationships will benefit, your work will benefit, and frankly, your own mind will become a more peaceful place to exist. If you're looking for more personal support, though, you don't want to go to conflict school, but you want to talk to me, I do offer one-on-one spiritual mentorship. Monika does one-on-one work too, by the way. You should totally hire her. But with me, if you'd like to explore your own patterns, your spiritual path, or simply have somebody thoughtful to walk alongside you, you can find information about working with me on my website. And I don't know if you know this, but I have a massive free human design library on my website. It's basically like an Internet 1.0 page with like a table of contents where you can learn about all of the basics of the body graph, energy type, the centers, channels, profile, da-da-da-da-da. So if you want some help understanding your chart, you can do that for free on my website. It is a service that I proudly offer to the universe. And finally, if you enjoy these conversations and want to support the show, my Patreon is where I share everything I've ever taught. I have taught 60 plus courses, my Q&As and bonus teachings, and an ever-growing library of material. And we also have a community Discord server. So thanks again for being here, and I will see you in the next episode. Let's keep giving God a good ride.